So there are some things you need to know for your Aufnahmetest. Maybe you applied for Studienkolleg already, maybe not. Maybe your Aufnahmetest is tomorrow. But here I'm gonna give you a guide to the Aufnahmetest. Everything, okay? Basically, difficulty, competition, mistakes you should avoid, structure. So I recommend you watch till the end of this video because there are some valuable tips also. And first thing is, what is Aufnahmetest? So basically, I'm just going to talk quickly about some initial observations here. The Aufnahmetest is the entrance exam for public Studienkollegs in Germany. So after seeing that you must attend a Studienkolleg, you must apply to that Studienkolleg, and then you take a test, which is the Aufnahmetest, to get a place there. Almost all Studienkollegs apply this exam due to the fact that a lot of people around the world want to attend a Studienkolleg in Germany. So that's why you got to take this exam before attending one. But for example, one exception to this is the Studienkolleg of Hamburg. There you don't actually have to take any exam. They have their own scoring system based on grades and certificates. And the test usually takes place in January for summer semester and in July for winter. And most of the times it takes place at university itself. Only a few ones allow online exams, but that depends on the Studienkolleg itself, so you can find that information on their website. So general structure for the Aufnahmetest, spoiler, there isn't. Basically, the structure is different for almost every Studienkolleg, every Aufnahmetest, and it also depends on the course you choose. So that is, if you choose, for example, M course or V course, they have different Aufnahmetests usually, but the exams, most of the times it consists of German and math. These two are almost always present, except for G course and S course. But yeah, German is basically always present. And in German, it's very common a kind of exercise called C-test, which is a text with gaps. And for example, in the Studienkollegs of Berlin, so there are two of them, their Aufnahmetest consists of only C-tests and math, except if you're applying for G course, then it's different. Also, the same thing for Studienkolleg of Kaiserslautern. It also includes only C-tests and math exercises, but at the same time, for example, the Aufnahmetest for Heidelberg doesn't include math, only German. And by German, I mean grammar exercises, but also C-tests, also writing an essay, like a whole text in German. But yeah, the most difficult part of this exam is not like the subjects themselves, but actually the fact that most tests, they're like time pressured. Okay, this is a pattern in almost every Aufnahmetest. And the second thing is that the competition is very high. So basically, these are the two things that make this test hard to pass. And now, talking about the German part specifically, it's typically focused on C-test format, okay? But sometimes it also includes additional grammar or reading exercises. And here, speaking or listening, these are very rare. Like in most of Aufnahmetests, they're not included. And about C-tests specifically, they're basically short text with gaps, where basically half of the word is missing. And it tests your grammar, your vocabulary, your spelling, context understanding, all of this at the same time. And of course, like always, it also tests your speed. This requires usually strong B2 level. And about this, the official minimum is usually B2. There are some Studienkollegs that allow B1, but most of them require B2. But yeah, the real competition level will always be at least B2. And now about the math part, it's based on high school math, okay? So basic math plus a little bit of calculus, okay? Derivatives, limits, and integration. But besides that, in basic math, like you can expect fractions, linear equations and systems, quadratic equations, power and roots, also functions and word problems. And this specifically, the German is very important because the sentences, they're always in German. So it's me again from the next day because my battery was running off. But as I was saying, math questions are entirely written in German, so understanding the problem can be harder than the math itself. So because of that, you must learn math vocabulary in German. Like you can still learn math in English, but you still have to learn the math vocabulary in German like separately. And now about the time pressure and the competition, okay? So you may know that, but it's a very limited time per question, and not only in math but also German and like overall I would say. And at the same time, it's a large number of applications for the same place at the Studienkolleg. So here, even small mistakes can make a huge difference, can decide if you pass or not. So one thing you have to know is that you gotta be fast, okay? You gotta be fast. You need to solve exercises quickly. That is very important for this exam. Now, there are some common mistakes that can be made in this exam, okay, in the Aufnahmetest. For example, underestimating the German C test. Okay, this usually is the hardest exercise, harder than math. And although the time pressure here, at least I feel it's not so much as like for math, but it's still very hard because it requires like advanced vocabulary in German. And another mistake, like the one I mentioned previously, is studying math formulas without like any German terminology. That means without terms in German for math, for example, for objects, 3D objects in geometry, and so on. Another mistake is relying only on B1 level. It's possible to pass with B1, like totally. Of course, if your Studienkolleg allows it. But like as I always say, the other students taking the same exam, they're probably going to have at least B2, okay? Maybe some of them even C1. So that's why it can be hard just with B1. And another mistake is not practicing under like real exam time conditions. So it can happen that on the day of your exam, you're not like used to the timing conditions of the Aufnahmetest, and you get caught by surprise. You see you have like 2 minutes per exercise and you didn't prepare for that. So that's why preparing under time conditions, okay, under real time conditions, is a way to mitigate that risk. Now, very important, how to prepare effectively, okay? Basically, focus on German grammar and vocabulary, especially for C tests, and of course, practice C tests very frequently and with volume, like as many as you can, and review math fundamentals also in German, right? Not only in English, but also in German. And the last thing, I'm gonna repeat this, but it's because it's the most important thing for your preparation, is to take like a full exam, okay, a mock test, whatever, and simulate this with strict time limits. But about that, that's one thing I didn't do in my preparation. And now I see the importance of doing this because trust me, okay, from my experience, this is one thing that can decide if you pass the Aufnahmetest or not. Just being able to solve exercises, just having the knowledge won't be enough. And I'll tell you why. Because just pure math or German knowledge won't guarantee you'll ace this exam, okay? What really guarantees that is if you have this knowledge and you solve exercises quickly. You solve exercises with speed. I'll tell you this from my own experience. That's the way I see Aufnahmetests usually are. And to be quick while solving exercises, you need a structured preparation, okay? So I would say you have two options, okay? You can do it alone, like by yourself. That's totally fine. I actually recommend you to rely on this channel here because there are some videos here that I gave some pretty good tips, okay, for your Aufnahmetest. They will certainly help you. Or you can access this course here that I affectionately call Acing Aufnahmetest. There you have access to lessons and materials about tips, strategies, mistakes to avoid, experience, basically everything you need to clear your Aufnahmetest, all based on experience, okay? On experience, what worked, what didn't work. Like, for example, one of the lessons, like the whole lesson, is just about how to approach the C-test, okay, to maximize your result. So if you're interested, it's a very straightforward course. It's not long at all, okay? It's just very dense. So check it out on the first link on the description, okay? And basically, final thoughts. The Aufnahmetest is difficult, okay? It can be hard, but it's manageable, especially if you have a structured preparation. And your success depends a lot on preparation and strategy, okay? And not on talent for this one, especially because of the timing factor and the psychological factor also. The math itself is usually basic, okay? Plus a little bit of calculus. The German, on the other hand, is probably not. You should prepare yourself for advanced German vocabulary and grammar. Don't ever neglect this one. And yeah, it's basically all about preparation, okay? Do it well, use the right resources, avoid common mistakes, okay? That's what will set you apart from the competition. So trust me and go for it. I hope you guys like this video and I see you in the next one.